Hi, welcome to Twinkie Talk, brought to you by the Evening Brothers. We are the Evening Brothers,
Right,
and this is
sure.
Twinkie Talk.
Yeah, I am Brother John.
I am Brother Lincoln.
And I am Brother Preston.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm keeping that. That's it. We got it.
Wow, this is great. Yeah, this is going really smooth. I'm really happy about everything we've decided to do so
And
far.
so, Brother John, could you please maybe tell us about what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, okay, so I have chosen our movie for this week. We're I guess a movie podcast question mark. A lot of question marks. This is a real episode 0, I feel. But I have chosen to burden you all with the knowledge of the film Q the Winged Serpent. And so I made you watch that with ads. I think you watched it with ads, right?
Most definitely, yes.
I watched it. They have a thing
Very
where they'll
good.
play all the ads at the beginning, and then you don't have ads throughout the movie, so
that's cool.
I did that.
That's exciting.
all
Preston,
right.
did you happen to keep notes of what ads hit? Were there any good ones as we went through?
I did not take ad notes, no, unfortunately.
That's okay. I just wanted to I was just checking. That's all right. I
Did
don't
you?
expect. Well, I have the Blu-ray, so
Oh. Of course.
So, no.
I should not be surprised.
He kind of misses it.
I'm not
He
sure
kind of
why
misses
you
the
were.
way that the ads used to interrupt whatever Q the Winged Serpent is.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes I just pause the movie and I play like a Reese's commercial or whatever. But
Yeah. You know how usually you're like really upset when the ads come on for some reason. Like I was kind of stoked when the ads came on.
I can't wait to find out why.
just like any reprieve.
Okay, Jonathan, could you give us the rundown of what this movie is about? And I want to hear why you made us watch it before we get into my specific
Okay.
reactions.
Yeah, so I actually most of my notes are kind of a run through of the whole movie. So we'll go through beat
Oh,
by
sweet.
beat.
And do you mind if I interject my own
But
notes?
essentially, no, that's sort of the goal. I wasn't just gonna give you a diatribe of my notes. I figured we'd talk
Yeah.
through the movie.
Let's go ahead.
Yeah. So but we'll start. The movie is about this detective and the world's least trustable man, and so they're the two kind of sides of the story, and they end up uncovering this Aztec dragon god called Quetzalcoatl, and then he attacks New York. Which all of that, and this is the reason I made you watch this movie is A, because I think it's like a B movie classic, but also B, anything you hear about the movie is 100,000 times cooler than the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
Like
funny
the
to me.
description that you just gave
So-
was a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you hear Monster Attacks New York, and you're like, hell yeah, I'm in. Of course. Like, why wouldn't I be? This is a good reason.
Dare
to
I
not be.
say, even if you just read the screenplay, you would have a more favorable impression of the movie.
I think that's fair. I think that's valid.
I would 100% agree with that.
Because I know we're just going to be dropping a big old dookie on this movie the whole time, I want to get ahead of this and say that there are some things that I really appreciate about this, mostly being I know that it's an incredibly small budget, and for that small budget, they did a pretty good job making you you get a lot of monster, which I feel like is a thing, especially for low budget B horror movies, where they're like, it's a Swamp Thing movie, and you get 4 minutes of the Swamp Thing, and then 100 minutes of people just kind of running around a set. I appreciate that there's a lot of Quetzalcoatl in this movie.
Yeah, but the substance
not-
of the Quetzalcoatl itself
That's
leaves a
not
lot
the
to be
point,
desired.
Lincoln. That's a different thing.
That's
a
quality. This movie is quantity over quality.
Well, they didn't really get quantity.
It
The movie's
sure is.
87 minutes long.
Yeah, but 20 of those minutes are Quetzalcoatl. So,
And 70 of those minutes are just too many. Maybe not 70, maybe more like 60, but
it's just an hour of the movie.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
1 hour.
That would have been much more palatable.
The first thing it says. So you know
Okay.
I'm always paying attention to the technical aspects of a movie. The first note I
Yeah.
have is all the deaths at the beginning happen so fast and the sound design is so plucky, it is really hard to have any sense of fear about what's going on.
Okay, so let's dive in. Because you misunderstood the movie if you thought the point was fear.
No, the movie's telling you to be afraid all the time. It plays scary music.
The point of I agree with that. The point of the movie is fear. The point of watching the movie
Yeah.
is laughter. And it sounds like
I
you
did. I did great.
So
I love the moments where the sound design, for some reason, it's like so compressed that someone's scream and like traffic is the same volume.
yes.
So like
yeah.
you'll see someone and then they'll scream and it'll be like, ah, and then Quetzalcoatl will chomp and it's like this chomp every single time.
Yeah, I've got a note kind of later on here that the least trustable man, I want to say his name is Jimmy, but we'll get there, I guess.
I think it is Jimmy.
He stomps so loud that honestly, I'm shocked that he didn't cause an earthquake.
Yeah, especially when Quetzalcoatl's involved, it is very, very, very wonky and very all over the place.
Yeah. Did you guys find yourself having to like turn up the volume and then at some point Quetzalcoatl will come on and you're like, oh man, okay, I don't need eardrums.
Oh
I
no,
guess.
the
Like, we're just
entire
gonna-
the entire time. Like I probably have never changed volume that many times, like ever. In a movie.
That's
But the movie
exciting
has
news
no
for me.
scale. Like you have it at a regular volume and someone
Right.
like a gunshot goes off and it doesn't seem that loud, but then the music will come in and it's like shaking your speakers.
Yeah, then somebody like unwraps a
Yeah.
candy bar and it's like, well, I guess, okay, I'm going to Best Buy. Hold on.
Okay.
Well, Lincoln, you mentioned the kills, of which there are several absolutely brilliant ones. The window washing scene. So we open the movie on a
Yes.
window washer who just like sort of, he's a perv. Just there's a lot of pervs.
But
in this movie.
he's like just waving at this girl, and he has no. He's like an NPC. Like he has no interaction except like this one wave move. He keeps like hitting over and over again.
Yeah, and he
That's
keeps
all I
like
got. He's not a
knocking on the
good window
window
washer.
and like it's
Like enough that this lady is calling her friend and being like, "Hey, this guy's doing
Again,
it
this has
again."
happened before. And then he dies, and you see his like, you see like a paper mache head like fall down.
He doesn't die. Okay, so here was my sort of question. So Q. We're just gonna go with Q, right?
That's
'Cause
fine,
that's
yeah.
easier. Big giant dragon creature, yes, like big Aztec
Well, that's
dragon
he starts
god.
smaller.
Uh,
He starts
What?
small.
well, yeah, but still, like relative
does?
to a human body, like pretty big. He's not like a bird. Like a pigeon would go and take the head and fly away. I feel like big dragon would get more than just like a head.
Yeah, like his bite radius would be larger than just like 10 inches.
Well, also, like, what's the speed that he's biting and the head? It's
Wait, I'll
just
tell you the
head.
speed. Ready?
that's some
It's that fast.
he was
That's pretty fast.
It's very precise, you know. He knew that like just taking the head would traumatize this woman more, so he just took the head. It's
Yeah.
early in
Well,
his career as a monster. He's got to like build, some, you know, he's got to build his skills and build his street
Street
cred.
But then
Cred?
somehow he ends up with like tons of skeletons of like whole bodies in the nest.
Right.
Well,
This is my. I think.
You
See,
do
I think he
realize-
just didn't like that guy's body. I think
Not
that's
enough
what it is. He just really liked the head.
Not enough
And
meat
then
on
just
those
the body
bones.
didn't do it for him. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, my next note
I mean-
says, oh, go ahead, Preston.
well, your comment about the skeletons, I would say that first of all, there are altogether too many Quetzalcoatl kills in the beginning, which contributes to a lot of skeletons. And like, if he's that big, he's got to be feeding on more than what we see.
It's
That's
true.
a good
It's
point.
true. Thank you for resolving that plot hole I had pointed out in the movie Q the Winged Serpent.
Yeah, you're so well. It was mostly a selfish thing to get my thing in there about there's too many kills in the beginning.
That's true.
But-
They all die and then we start being worried about
like-
it.
Right. Well, no,
That's
no.
fair,
There's
yeah.
like you see the first one, and it's like, oh, there's this like giant thing. Like, oh no, we should be scared. and then like so many happen that you're just like you're way too used to it, and there's no more suspense. It's like, oh no, he got another.
I don't know. It is kind of realistic.
Ah.
I think real life New York, they would let a lot of kills happen before people are even talking about it. It'd be death like 12 before it even breaks the news. Okay, my next note says...
I mean, you're not wrong, but still, there's too many.
I want to talk about this. It says, has this director ever shot a middle shot in his whole life? Because every single shot in the first probably 45 minutes is either like a super wide dramatic angle shot on like a 5mm lens, I guess, or like a crazy close-up with like no sense of like proportion or direction or geometry or anything.
Doesn't that make you feel like you're in the story, though?
It makes me feel like I'm getting rapidly brought in and then shoved back out of the story.
Yeah, maybe he wanted to go for like a more like sexual way of just like really close, really far, really close, really far.
I believe that. I 100%.
There's a lot of subtext.
A lot of subtext in Q the Winged Serpent.
My next comment is that I love framing this as a detective story and somehow also a heist, because like can you imagine if Godzilla 3 or whatever came out and then that was how it was, and I cannot imagine the response that everyone would have if it was just a bunch of shenanigans with this cop and this random dude.
I want to talk about this random dude for a little bit.
Let's talk about him. Hold on, I have his name here. I wrote his name down. I caught it later.
Because we needed to establish like who he is, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, it's actually really important who he is. I actually wrote a lot in it. Jimmy Quinn. His name is Jimmy Quinn, and he the only thing keeping him from a life of crime is this job playing piano at a bar. And I think that's incredible.
He's conveniently turned away from the camera every time he sings anything difficult.
That is also he's terrible at everything he does.
To say that Lincoln, do you have a musical analysis for us?
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so Lincoln, you do know music.
Yeah. What do I got? Okay. I made several notes about the music. One, the score is like one of the most dissonant things about the whole movie, and I mean dissonant in the like cognitive sense. Like the score has nothing to do with what's going on ever. But
okay.
Thank you for clarifying that.
When he sits at the piano and starts playing, they frame it really conveniently so he doesn't have to play. But the playing is actually pretty decent. Like it's totally acceptable for like a jazz pianist, definitely not in New York City at a street level bar, but it's pretty good. Then singing itself is like capable to the point that I don't believe that he was singing.
Absolutely not. No. Except here's my question, because the singing is, and I say this as someone who doesn't know a lot about music, horrible. Like,
I think it's idiosyncratic.
Awful.
I actually didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was fine.
It's idiotic. Like it's horrible.
I didn't mind it. It was a really flat tone. He was generally on pitch.
I agree that he had a very flat tone. I think I'm justified in my opinion on this because in 20 seconds the guy starts playing the jukebox. Which what a baller move.
Actually,
I was that was like I was like waiting for him to get kicked out. And then, turns on the jukebox, and that is genius.
That is so much better than just being like, get out of here, you're not good. It's like, that would crush me.
Seriously.
You know what's the funniest part?
Way just to to the director's credit, like that's a pretty good way of like taking our boy Jimmy and just like tearing him down to nothing.
But I love that he's playing jazz, and then they switch on the jukebox, and then you hear the next spoken line is, "Have you found that guy's head yet?"
Yeah, they do pretty casually ignore Jimmy, don't they?
Like the movie ignores him.
Oh, it does. I feel like the first time I watched this, it's sad that it's not even the second. I've watched this movie a lot of times, but the first time I saw this, I feel like I went through probably 70% of the movie going, why are we watching this guy? Like, what does he matter?
Like,
Hey, so I also had that question. like, I think, can we all agree that the heist portion of this could have been like not that there's much of a heist component, but like the heist did not need to be in there.
well,
It did not. However, it was worth it for them robbing a shop called Neil Diamond.
that is pretty good.
You know, that's fair. It was a pretty solid, but still, like,
I really like that he says, they go, "Can you drive?" And he goes, "I can drive, but I don't carry a gun and I don't go inside." And he literally shifts the car into park, and they go, "Here's a gun, come inside." And of course it goes wrong.
Yeah, and he's like, okay,
like,
that
"Oh,
sounds good. Let's
fine."
do that.
right? Like, what are they gonna do? Like, call the cops on you for not going in on this robbery? Like,
And then the music is like the theme song to DuckTales right then. It's just this like bolt beep, bolt beep, bolt beep, bolt beep. And then he just like his toe touches the curb and he throws the jewelry box into the intersection.
Oh yeah, he definitely does. He gets like lightly. I think he hits.
Oh yeah,
a car
he
with his body.
runs across a taxi
Yeah,
and he chucks the jewelry box.
and then he's like, across the street, this case of diamonds
But
goes.
the problem is they didn't have the budget to key in the cars driving by, so it is an empty intersection. Like you see him throw it into this empty space.
It definitely
And so-
is. Yeah. 'cause
So
he's
his
a
solution
dum-dum.
is not like, I will just go get it. It is, I must abandon my life of crime and live on the lam.
See, I think that was very intentional. I feel like you're saying it's a they couldn't key in the traffic. I think it's this guy's just a ding dong, and the director is like, I need you to know
that he's so dumb. And then he goes, I'm going to go inside the Chrysler building and I'm just going to keep going up until I run out of floors.
Right. Yes. Just okay. I have a note because this is my favorite quote of the whole movie. Right. So he stops and he just looks.
I know what you're about to say.
At a ladder, and he goes, "I'm almost afraid of everything, but I've never been afraid of heights." To himself.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't say that to anyone.
there was that line, and then the security guard chasing him is like, what is he? It's something to the tune of like, "Oh, screw it," or like, why can't I think? Like the two garbage lines of dialogue, again, did not need to be in. And like, I feel like they just said, hey, like, security guard is going to be chasing him. Now we need to get rid of the security guard. How do we get rid of the security guard easily?
Oh,
just
security
have him
guard just
give up.
gives up. Jonathan, I just realized I have a note that I wrote at the exact moment that he said the thing about scared of heights. It says,
Okay, tell me
the
about it.
wheelman narrates his every thought for the audience, but somehow doesn't succeed in revealing new information.
That's
very true. That guy, he's got a big day though,
Jimmy
Jimmy
Quinn.
Quinn, because he does a heist that he said he wouldn't do right after getting absolutely like to his core demolished by a guy putting a jukebox on. Then he goes up the Empire State, and he gets hit by a pigeon, and then that. Is it the Chrysler Building? All right, the Chrysler Building. I don't know buildings. And then he gets hit by a pigeon, which I feel like is more important than which building he's in. And then he finds a skeleton and a nest with an egg, and he just reaches out and knocks on the egg. Like, what's in there? Like, why is that? He's had a day.
And you know what's the best part, though? Is he just walks back down.
He does. He's like, cool egg. Anyway,
And then
bye.
no worries about his life or his, like, the people pursuing him. He's like, okay, I'm ready to go home.
No, it's like in GTA. If you like burn off the heat, then they just like stop looking for you, and you're fine.
He's like, oh, they're off my trail.
That's what the security guard did.
That's exactly
That's
what happened.
exactly what happened. He was like, ah, well.
Yeah, it's like he left his cone of visibility for long enough.
I mean, but let's be real though. Like, Jimmy's not having a great day. Like, is there any possible way that it could get worse? Whatever. Might as well knock on this egg. Like my day,
That's a
you know?
that's a valid
You are
point.
thinking like
I feel
Jimmy right there.
He has been torn down to his bare bones, like to the studs, to the point that he sees a big egg and he's like, all right, this could go one of two ways. And honestly, either way is about the same. So let's see.
Okay. The next thing that happens is we need to have people be aware that this whole time we're cutting between Jimmy and then the detectives. And my favorite thing is they go to this museum and they start talking about the myth. And not once in this entire story about a flying serpent named Quetzalcoatl does anyone question whether or not Quetzalcoatl's real.
No, that is not a question.
Not even once.
This is true.
Which I do love that they're the like America's worst detectives, that they find a bunch of murder victims and then they immediately go to a history museum and are like, what kind of weird god could this be?
But it works. He's at the history museum and he like Sherlock's out. He like mind palaces out everything that happened from looking at this exhibit. And then at the end he goes, oh yeah, this isn't actually an Incan museum. No, it's Mayan, right? This isn't actually a Mayan museum. And so it's like,
I feel like you're giving him too much credit though as a detective, because he doesn't mind palace it out. He goes to a building and some guy's like, hey, this is information you should know, and then he walks away.
that's true.
Well, hey, you can't forget there's the one scene of him like studying all of these books like at night. And his wife is like, oh, don't be looking at that, you're gonna scare me.
And then he's like, I am
like,
going to
yeah,
scare
that's a
you.
good point.
Clearly he did his homework before he just started
My man does.
in feathered serpent gods.
I like to think that he's waited for this day his whole life. Like his whole life has been just trying to find which Mayan god might be, and it's always been like Jack the Ripper or Ted Bundy, and he's like, dang it,
He blames
every
a
time.
mythological figure for everything. He's like, it was Loki.
You know, it's fun. I was thinking, this popped into my brain that I watched the original Point Break this week, and like,
wait, hold on, before you finish what you're saying, I cannot wait to see where this goes.
No. This is a quote. Like okay, and you've seen it, yes, John Lincoln.
Yes.
You've seen the original. Lincoln has not. Okay.
Lincoln, you haven't seen Point. Whatever.
We gotta move on. We gotta keep going.
We can't be those guys.
Deeply disappointed in you. Anyways. There's this whole scene where they make a big deal that like nobody believes the detective that the heist, like the robbers are surfers. Like those people were more suspicious of surfers being robbers than of a flying snake god
who is powered by human sacrifice.
Exactly. Yeah. How like that does not.
So you're saying some people could have used a little more like Cartesian doubt, like maybe just the slightest amount of like.
Did you just say Cartesian doubt? I mean, I guess.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Yeah.
I like that you have Cartesian doubt ready to go, and my next note is Jimmy Quinn runs like Shelley Duvall in The Shining. Like those are the two levels of thinking that we're at.
Okay. I want to keep talking about Jimmy because I gotta say he kind of stole the show. Like it's kind of it's the most fun thing about the movie is his presence in it.
Can I was gonna say that's a really hot take.
Because
explain yourself.
Okay, because I think the movie, this movie is like treating itself with this like severity that does not match its like tone or budget at all, but it's like pretending to be really serious the whole time. And then you get lines like, I ran twice in one day, I ran.
Oh yeah, that was good. That's when he's talking to his wife, right? And he's like upset. And that's the takeaway from
I ran
his day.
twice in one day, I ran. And then she's like, go to bed. And he's like, fine. And she goes, I'll make you some eggs. And he goes, I don't want to ever see another egg. Like he saw one really disturbing egg. That was it for him. We're good. Like,
I feel like I would have. I'm not saying it would ruin my like year for eggs. It would ruin my day for eggs, though.
But
well, I feel like if you knocked on a giant egg and like nothing bad happened besides like seeing some skeletons and stuff, like
Aside
know
from
that I
dead
would-
bodies, nothing bad happened.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know that I would like draw the connection of like, oh, I don't want to eat eggs because I just saw a giant one.
Yeah, eggs are not skeleton specific.
Like, right. Like, I feel like I would have seen the skeletons and like, oh yeah, that's like a, that would ruin your appetite.
I don't want to eat a skeleton for breakfast tomorrow. But yeah, I think a lot of terrible movies can be improved by throwing a bumbling idiot who like is just like living his life throughout this like wacky plot and but he's not lampshading. He's like believing everything that happens, but he's just reacting to it in just such a like, I don't know, nonsensical but like just hilarious way.
Yeah, you know what? I can get behind that. I think I
Like
support
when
this.
he leads the two gangsters who are searching for him because he lost their money. He leads them to the nest and has them get eaten, and then
as slowly
as possible.
Yes.
And then he goes to his girlfriend and says, "Oh yeah, those two, they're not alive anymore," as if it's like a euphemism. Like he's not
But, like,
being
the whole
sneaky.
Yeah, I wanted to-
time, like, there's not like this like moral battle of like, oh, I'm leading these people to their death. He's just sort of like watching him get eaten, and I do not remember the specific dialogue, but he's like not unhappy about it.
No, I mean he meant
Like,
to
he's
do
just
that
sort of
He's
like
fine
for
with it.
sure.
talking to him. He's just going off the whole time, just rambling.
Yeah, he really is. He's kind of like, and then this is the next thing to do. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
like I just love this bumbling
Right.
idiot getting carried by the story and having no idea what's going on.
I wanted to touch on the scene where his wife or girlfriend, I think, gets like radically angry at him for obviously murdering people, and he's like, "You should be fine with this."
Yeah, he's like you married you're with a criminal.
Yeah,
And then she
like, how is
goes-
this the line?
And she has her whole thing of, I liked you better when you were a small-time crook.
Oh yeah, now that you've spent
Yeah, she's got like a weird kink, I think.
I love, and she says that line as if we've seen this arc from this humble, earnest thief. He's been humble and earnest and like an idiot this whole time.
Yeah, he's not like Jean Valjean who's like doing this for his family. He just wants some
But
diamonds.
he's not like he's not like Elvis Presley. He's not been like corrupted by the spotlight. He's just this little idiot.
No,
this
he's
little
just an idiot
self-centered
the whole
idiot.
time.
And she's like, "Oh, I miss the old days. 45 minutes ago."
I miss when you used to be this morning
This
you.
morning you.
He's a big time crook because he did, I can only assume, the most like the least legally culpable way you could murder someone, which is just like climb that ladder, and then on that ladder is a giant dragon god.
Yeah. That's like OSHA has nothing. OSHA would be able to litigate that. That's not like police. That's like workplace safety.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you'd have a lot of like a pretty solid leg to stand on in court. Like, did you
that
murder
is
these people?
plausible
Not
deniability.
really.
Not really.
Sure.
All I can say is they're not alive anymore.
Why didn't you get eaten? I don't know. I just got lucky, I guess.
Yeah, it just happened. Which actually, he doesn't get eaten a lot of times. He could have
That's
gotten
true.
away.
Serious, yeah. Like, so many times.
But he has no sense. Like, I just love, he is so dumb. He has no sense of the scale of these events that are transpiring.
At all.
He sees the winged apocalypse monster and goes, I bet I could get a pretty sweet deal from the state with this.
Yeah,
Yeah, he has the same reaction to that as he does getting lightly tapped by a cab.
Yes. Not even to mention how the detective got like 4 seconds away from getting him to reveal where the thing is. He starts talking and he's like, "This is how I would do it. I would go to the Chrysler." Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we also, like, the convenient, like, I love the fact that these characters meet for the first time in this bar where he is trying to get this job.
Yeah, he doesn't actually have a job.
Happens to wander in there.
He walks in and goes, "Will you give me a job?"
Right, and this cop.
and
just
why is the
happens to
cop
be in
there?
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like if the bar is closed, why is the cop there?
And you know what's even better than that is that scene has no bearing on any other part of the movie.
No.
literally at all. Yeah,
Like-
it's not like he has like his music career comes back into focus at any
No.
point. Nor was it mentioned before that. It's just like a thing that happens in a series of things that
That's
happen.
what I'm saying.
Well, and the whole thing of the music career is like the music thing isn't working out, so he has to go drive for this robbery.
This music thing that he
But the
tried out this
robbery
morning.
doesn't have to be in the movie at all.
Right, it does not at all.
I love the idea that he was like, if I can make it as a musician, I will stop being a criminal. And so he just, with no prep or rehearsal, goes, I'm going to go to the first bar I see and just demand a job. And if I don't get that, crime is my
Right.
only other option.
Back to crime. There's nothing else I can do.
I'm not going to try to maybe get a regular job at that bar or...
Well, I hear that there's a construction company that suddenly has an opening.
That was probably my favorite
Yeah.
kill. The
That's a
red shirt
great kill.
That
construction
was
guy.
actually a good one with like the hard hat falling.
Oh yeah.
Really solid. Really, really solid. I liked when the like blood is falling all over the street. I think
That
that's
was a
neat
good one
That's a good
too.
one.
Yes.
I also like the one that they're in the pool and it cuts back to the pool so many times. And you're like, surely there's going to be a death from this, right? Like you start to doubt that there's going to be a kill because it just keeps cutting back to the pool and everyone's fine. It's like,
That's the one with the big claw,
yeah, it's
right?
like aerial view, pool, then aerial view again, then pool again, then aerial view, and then another pool shot. It's like, yes, we get it. He sees the pool.
I think I wrote down incredible kill with the pool. Yeah, that
And
was really
at that
good.
exact same moment, I wrote, horror just isn't as effective when shot in broad daylight.
I do like the one guy that might like one of my favorite kills in this movie is the guy who's watching like perving on someone with a telescope, right? And so he's like watching this guy or this girl, and then she gets like taken by, again, and I can't stress this enough, Aztec dragon god. And then he's like just watches that happen. Like he's just there to watch. He's not trying to like, I don't think he's a perv. Like it started feeling like, oh, he's pervy. No, he's just there to see what happens.
You know what would be more satisfying
He's
is
in
if
on it.
he was the
He's
one who
in
got
cahoots
taken.
with Quetzalcoatl.
I'm sorry, Preston, I did not hear what you said.
Oh, he's no. The pervy dude is in cahoots with Quetzalcoatl. And
Oh.
just wants to watch people
Just
get
like calling
taken.
the shots.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's like that should have been the priest dude.
That would have been
Like-
such a great little bit.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome, actually.
Or it should have been
Yeah.
him who got taken. The guy with the telescope should have gotten sucked up because he was like doing the wrong thing.
That also, yeah. There's not a morality to this, to Quetzalcoatl.
I wrote,
There's not a morality in any of this. Like
That's true.
the one,
Yeah, there is
even
no
like, the
lesson to be
priest
learned.
Dude, it's never like, hey, you're like, not only are you like killing these people, but also like you're summoning this beast that's like eating people, like, which I guess that is, that's evil. But at the same time, there's never like a moral question there
and also,
Right. No, it's
until the
it's just like, don't-
end when he's like, no, you have to say the thing and then I'll kill you. And he's like, well, I don't want to say the thing.
oh shoot.
Oh, I love that scene.
Like-
We'll definitely get to that.
Yeah, we'll revisit that for
I
sure.
also like that they treat the reveal that the killer guy was that professor in the museum at the beginning. They treat that as like a shock.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
it?
Yeah, it was.
I did not pick
He
up on
gets
that at
so
all,
little
to be
screen
totally
time that
honest.
there's no shock value because you see him once and then the movie like holds the frame on his face for like the one extra second you need to know that he's the bad guy. And then they show up later and he's
I'm
like,
glad.
"Oh, it was me." And they're like, "Oh, I trusted you when we met for 5 minutes yesterday."
Well, and that's the guy who told him all the information.
Yeah,
right?
it
I was
was.
about to say, like, if there's a
Why
if you-
do that?
Yeah,
'Cause he's really
well, and
into it.
also, like, if you like, how many people in New York City like genuinely believe in this dragon god? Like, how many people?
I mean,
are gonna
probably
have
a lot.
enough- Right, but like, how many people have enough information about it? Like,
Yeah, they should have just been like, when he told them about it, they should have been like, "Okay, was it you?"
Yeah,
and he would have been like,
thank you.
Right, yeah.
Brain wasn't working. Yeah, it's like that's such a very specific thing that maybe they should have questioned him a little bit more.
Also, the idea that most of the sacrifices were like willing, like we want to get killed for this, it doesn't really hold up because in the Mayan civilization, everybody believed that. But you can't just like pick up a belief out of nowhere and like find someone that is gonna like human sacrifice you.
Well, there's never a moral discussion around that either.
No, they're just like, oh yeah, true.
Like that.
It's
that
just
would've-
another thing that's going on.
like you could have totally cut out Jimmy, and just had this be more of a monster detective.
No, you can't
Movie.
cut out Jimmy because he says the phrase, I wrote another quote, I have never paid taxes in my life and I'm not about to start now.
Oh, is that in his court?
That's when he's making his
The-
demands.
Yeah. Oh man, that was. I stopped rooting for Jimmy after that scene.
I was never rooting for
Jimmy-
him. I just think he's the only entertaining part of the movie.
Jimmy also at one point says $50-100 million.
He does.
Which I think is interesting.
He does. He's like a toddler. Later on, when they renege on his deal, when they go, yeah, but you didn't give us what you promised. He says, take
Oh,
your
yeah.
offer and stick it up your, and he waits a long time and then goes, brain. Your small little
because he's
brain.
like, I can't curse. I'll send people to their doom, but I can't curse.
Stick it up your brain. And yeah, Preston, let's talk about how the guy says you have to consent to this murder if you want it to be effective, and he just is like, okay, no, then.
Yeah, he's just like, and then the dude is like, yeah, but you'll like repent to your sins, and then Jimmy has to go off and explain, oh, I haven't prayed to so and so, and the cops are always saying, oh, say your prayers, and I'm not about to start. And it's like, I think that's just his whole thing, is he's just so stupidly stubborn that like that's besides the point. And I like that the dude is just like, no, but like, why won't you do it? And like makes this big thing like, oh, I like literally cannot kill you until you say the prayer. And it's
I love that
what?
he told him that.
What are
Like,
you
why
doing?
would you would never tell him that, because that really
Right.
does take away all your
But that's
cards.
the problem. He really
Yeah.
does have to hear the prayer. Like, it really does have to be done. So
right,
Yeah,
like
because
what did-
otherwise he's just
he's
murdering.
just murdering. It's not religious importance. But how has that
oh, well,
never
there you go.
happened
There's
before?
the whole moral dilemma of the movie.
How has
Yeah, this is my favorite actually religious film. It's Q the Winged
Q the Winged
Serpent.
Serpent second place? God's Not Dead 2.
Right.
But like,
And after that, Fireproof.
literally no one before that was like, no, don't kill me then.
Yeah, I love that. Like, everybody else was fully gung ho, and then he was like, I don't want to do that. And the guy's like, I actually don't know what to do
I
in
don't
this
know what
moment.
to do next. This has
Well,
never happened
everybody
before.
else did it. Well, man.
I do want to make a note, just as we're talking about earlier, the detective, because I don't want to lose this. Lincoln, you mentioned that everybody's just like so ready to believe that, but then when the detective comes in and he's like, hey, I think it's probably this thing. He's told by several people, but definitely his boss, that there's no connection between the giant dinosaur bird and the ritual killings that are currently happening, believing to be for the giant dinosaur bird. And he's told that that's ridiculous. And he's like, fair enough.
Like, oh, well, yeah. I don't have a link between them.
I just love that. Like, there is no consistency with the belief.
We believe
this
in Quetzalcoatl.
monster.
We all believe that he's
Yeah.
real. But we do not believe that
Right.
human action. It's global warming. we do not believe that human action is causing this.
No. Look, he's prayed back. No, that is a very. It is like those two things are like totally separate the entire movie, and then right at the end, like like with the detective thing, it's like, oh, hey, we got the guy. Like,
Yeah.
there's the end of that. And then suddenly it's like, oh, well, we got the killer. Now I guess we're all just gonna go and try to shoot this monster.
No, but that's backwards. They
Like-
kill the monster first.
Do they?
That's
Yeah.
true.
Oh.
They kill the monster.
Yeah, they kill the monster and then they're like, well, let's go find the guy.
Yeah, I agree.
Well-
I never really thought about that, Preston, that those two, it's like two separate mysteries.
Yeah.
Like, we could have just
like, it
had
would've
one.
been-
We could have just had the monster.
Or it would have been way more entertaining if the whole time they're going after these like ritual killings, and then you got Jimmy Sears, bumbling idiot, who's like, "Hey, I saw this monster," and they like,
It's Jimmy Quinn.
"Oh,
Jimmy
sorry,
Quinn, bumbling
Quinn."
idiot to you.
It's okay. Thank you.
That's
Yeah,
Mr.
bumbling
Bumbling
idiot at
Idiot.
law.
But,
Okay,
like,
wait.
It would have been way like it could have been this whole thing of like, no, it's like just these like ritual killings. No, I saw the feathered serpent god, and then they like finally get the dude,
And then they
and
go get the
then
monster.
The serpent shows up, and it's like, oh, Jimmy wasn't lying. Here's your $1 million or whatever.
Or
you
Jimmy
want.
just swears that he saw the egg, and then the egg hatches because of the ritual killings, and then they have to go stop it.
Right, like that. I feel like that would have been a far more entertaining movie.
Preston, I want to just note your word choice. You said it could have been a whole thing, and that is precisely the reason they didn't do it. Someone pitched that, and the director said, "Yeah, but then it'd be a whole thing."
Yeah, man, that'd be a whole thing. And I don't know
It
if
would
we're
have been
ready
a
for
whole lot
that.
better.
No, I'm like imagining this alternate where the ritual killings are the mystery, and those are the one where they slice into that guy's sternum is like really unsettling.
It's pretty
like,
creepy.
pretty effective.
Yeah, the like guy without the skin.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
really
yeah.
good.
Way more scary than the that the monster does. I am
Yeah,
nailing that sound every
For
time.
sure.
Yeah, no, that's actually I would watch that movie a lot.
And then
more.
you get your like false ending where they get the killer and they're like, yeah, and then his dying breath is like, yeah, but my work is already done, and then they have to go get the serpent.
Especially
incredible.
if it was like this dude is like seeking out criminals to like repent their sins.
Oh yeah,
and
Jimmy's
then,
the
like,
next one.
commit ritual
Dang it.
Like it would have been a much like they could have had that moral.
Preston,
It could have been
damn.
a whole thing, and it would have been way better.
That
like,
was
You're telling me there's a version of this movie where Jimmy Quinn fits into the story?
you know,
and then he can like
I don't-
bumbling
I don't
idiot
want to
avoid
admit it,
all
but
that.
Yeah, I guess I am. I hate to say it, but
And watching him like dance through the plot and not get touched would be like actually kind of exciting because you don't want him to get taken by the guy.
Man,
well, do we?
that would be so great.
Or maybe you do want him to get taken, but there's still like that tension of whether or not it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, and it could have been a much like if you'd made him more of a criminal and like less of a hapless bumbling idiot, then like
No. The hapless
Hold on.
bumbling idiot
Hey,
is
hold on.
non-negotiable.
He 25% killed 2 dudes. He killed 50% of a dude if you do the
oh
math.
yeah, okay, you know, fair enough. Actually, that's a good point.
He committed multiple workplace safety violations throughout the movie.
Well, no, that was just manslaughter. You know, he was just climbing the ladder, and there happened to be a dragon god right there who was, you know. Here's another thing I just thought of.
Thanks for prefacing
Here we go.
it for us. I'm glad that you
These
just
people
thought
are
of it.
following him up this ladder, right? Like they are chasing
Uh-huh.
him. So why did the dragon eat them before Jimmy, the guy who is closer?
No, this is my question too. Like Jimmy, he survives more than he should.
Yes, he does.
In a lot of ways.
Because he's getting pulled through the plot. He's not participating in it.
That's true. He really is. He's like actively
Right.
trying to
Like
fight
I have never
against
seen
it.
him make a decision even once in the movie.
Well, now he decided to hit that taxi with his whole body.
No, he didn't. It was an accident.
He decided to like get out of the car with the goons to like
That's
go
true.
rob the bank. He decided
But do you see
to
it on
climb
his
the
face?
Sears Tower again.
the decisions have already happened by the time you see him do them. Like you see him perform actions, but you don't see him make decisions.
He decided that he needed all that money
Off camera.
Like he makes this big deal of like, I don't go in. Like he could have just gotten out of the car and then like walked away. Like what were they gonna do? Like shoot him in the sidewalk in front of all the witness? Like
honestly, yes, I think that's exactly what they would have done.
He could have just simply walked away. I'm gonna try getting a job at a different bar.
I'm serious. Like, yeah, he could have just walked to a different bar and like tried to become a musician.
Yeah, after that first bar, he walks to the next bar like one door over, and he walks in and he's like, "Hey, I wanted to," and they're like, "No, we heard you.
No, we're fine.
No, get out.
We're fine."
Well,
okay.
maybe he has to go across town, but like,
Preston.
because there's also there is the whole thing where it's like his girlfriend or whatever like clearly works in the bar, does not want to be known that like she and Jimmy are a thing. Like there is a very clear head shake. Well, obviously, but like, and that's never brought back up.
Yeah, it's not. It's true.
So
you were right.
I mean, hang on. No, she leaves him, and then he's like, "Yeah, you suck." Like he gets vindicated by her leaving this kind of half murderer.
That's true. He's like, yeah, serves you right, not wanting to be in a relationship with me, the worst human being.
America's worst man, Jimmy Quinn.
America's worst and also least interesting.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Sex appeal.
Self-awareness. At least he has some self-awareness.
Oh, Jimmy has some sex appeal, John?
Yeah, Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a real himbo, Jimmy Quinn.
He puts the bow in himbo.
Do you feel like it was, I want you to rank these two choices. Is it a more bold move to end this movie by setting up for a sequel, or to make a Michael Morbius movie, just like as a concept? Which do you feel like is a stronger move?
I think the Michael Morbius movie was the bolder move because they had to actually put light to film. They had to actually make it.
Sure.
You could just
Also,
like hand wave out a
like,
sequel with not a lot of commitment.
Also, because like I don't know if you guys had this case, but I was getting to the end of the movie where they're doing like the big overhead shot of like the burned out building, and I was like, "There's gonna be an egg. There's gonna be an egg, and it's gonna hatch." Like, and you expect it. Like the movie is bad.
You're
enough
saying,
wait, are you saying this movie's predictable?
Hold on. Wait. You're saying that you saw that?
Are you saying that this roller coaster of a movie?
Okay, all right. I'm not
This
the only one who's doing that. Versus like
M. Night Shyamalan of a movie.
This Christopher Nolan-esque plot.
I mean,
yeah, just messing with time left and right.
So there's some common ground there. I'm waiting for Lincoln.
Now I kind of want Christopher Nolan to remake Q the Winged
Shot
Serpent.
for shot.
Yeah, exactly.
But just on IMAX, so every individual shot is wider.
And I want Jimmy Quinn to be played by Quentin Tarantino.
Gross. Actually, he would be perfect for it. Like,
I mean,
I know. Either him or Bill Burr, I feel like would be.
I don't want to see another egg ever.
Bill Burr would actually be really funny. Because, like, he has the same, like...
face structure?
He has the same vocal affect, too.
Yes. What
Also
Lincoln
that.
just said, yes. Like, all of those lines, I could 100% hear those in a Bill Burr...
Yeah, I'm like hearing them right now. It's like it's actually making me kind of excited to like remake this movie.
Let's remake Q the Winged. Forget the podcast. We're remaking.
And
Q
I
the
want to
Winged
add in
Serpent.
all of Preston's changes. I think that'd really make a more effective movie.
I fully agree.
I think a little more dread. Okay, you know what is the revolutionary thing we're gonna do when we make our movie? Instead of shooting all the stuff at 1 p.m., we're gonna wait till the sun goes down.
What?
You're telling me that lighting is important in visual media?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that lighting is in fact important. I've been watching a lot of videos about filmmaking, and I will say, from my expertise, lighting is important.
Wow, I feel like you had to piece together a lot of videos to get
really
that.
I was about to say, like,
you have to absorb the information.
Well, now you've seen all those videos. Your expertise is clearly.
It is.
It's
okay.
showing.
Want to hear the next part of my expertise?
Yeah, go ahead.
When you want to just make a movie in New York, it's important to have some sort of thematic reason that it takes place in New York. Instead of New York being kind of this meaningless plot device and meaningless like exterior shot with completely bare, definitely not New York interiors.
There is definitely a reason. There's a thematic reason for this to be shot in New York, and it's way cooler than Ohio to shoot this.
Well, so you can have a winged serpent god like scooping people off of rooftops and like blowing holes in buildings, clearly.
Yeah, that does not make the news in Chicago.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's
I feel like New York is the setting, but it doesn't really have there's no sense of place. It doesn't feel like there was a reason it took place in New York.
Big dragon in New York, Lincoln. Would you rather watch this movie set in Cincinnati? Like, is that what you want?
No, I'm saying that I wouldn't be able to tell if it was in Cincinnati. It's not like he destroys any like big cool looking buildings.
Like the
Chrysler building already has a hole in it, and it's definitely not the Chrysler
movie.
building once they actually go inside it.
It's a monster movie, and monster movies have to be in big cities. Like, that's just the rule.
Okay,
like,
fine.
Which big city are you going to pick in the, like...
Right.
Not Chicago.
I agree with that.
Like, Washington, D.C., maybe.
I could see that. Or, like, Dallas.
Or, like, Fort Collins.
I like that you guys fully considered that as a real option.
I don't know what this Dallas skyline looks like, so I can't judge too harshly yet.
That's your problem, is the skyline. If your problem with the skyline, then New York would be perfect, wouldn't it, Lincoln?
I guess it would. I concede everything.
Thank you.
Oh, finally. You know, I also appreciate at the end is like when he gets got by the dude.
Context?
Okay, hang on. First off, when Jimmy is in the hotel.
Wait, sorry, Preston, I gotta stop you. Can you let us know whether or not this has just popped into your head?
No. Well, it's been marinating a little bit, but
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay, so this is like a 20-minute thought?
Maybe like a 5-minute thought.
5-minute thought was right,
cool.
in high school.
First of all, so the dude at the end, who threatens Jimmy with the knife, was that the priest guy, or is that just a totally random dude who just showed up? Because if it is the priest dude, how did the cops let him get away?
No. He just runs up to the roof and disappears. Like, he fully gets away.
Right. There's there's the mime dude watching the other detective.
Oh, yes, the undercover mime cop. Yeah. We never talked about him.
Mime cop watches other cops get scooped off the building by the dragon, and we get a shot of him just like wigging out. And then suddenly, okay, so anyways.
But he can't tell anybody because he's a mime, Preston. How great is that joke?
Oh, wow, that's pretty. Anyways, okay, so dude escapes the building somehow.
Yes.
Threatens. Okay. I like that as Jimmy is getting threatened, the cops roll up, and what is it, Shepard? Like, is just like rolling around.
I don't know. I just cared about Jimmy Quinn's name.
I'm pretty sure it's Shepard is just rolling around to hotels, like kicking down doors, looking for Jimmy. Like, oh yeah, we figured that this guy would go for Jimmy. And it's like, you never cared about Jimmy until the very end, and suddenly you're kicking down every door in every hotel looking for Jimmy.
And also, how does this guy even know who Jimmy is?
Right.
Do we ever learn how the priest knows who he is?
It's a really good point.
And also,
he's not. Yeah. No, because the killing like the ritual murders are totally separate
from the
from
actual
the serpent
location of the
god,
serpent god.
and Jimmy never gets involved.
Okay, wait. My brain is
outside the serpent
breaking.
god.
They fight. They chase that guy to the roof, and
Right.
then do they kill the monster? I felt like that had already happened because Jimmy gets kicked out before that and goes to the hotel.
No, hotel's at the very wait.
Hotel's at the end. The last thing that happens is the
Yes.
hotel.
So
And then before that is the monster, and before that is the
it is
the
because
No.
because what
think
about
so.
the
No, no, it
conversation that
is-
Jimmy has where they're like, "We're not going to give you anything." I thought that happened before they confront the
you're
guy.
right.
Because here's what it is. So they go and they shoot the egg, but no monster.
Oh,
And they have the whole thing with Jimmy, no, screw you, like you didn't deliver.
Okay.
And then they make a big deal about,
That's what it is.
now we're going to go get the real, not the real killer, but like the ritualistic killer. But Shepard's going to stay here in case the monster comes back.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
what it is. Which I love. I want to talk real quick about two things. One, Mime Cop. We have not touched on him enough. Two, I want to talk about Jimmy's plan that he proposes, which is just a big net.
You know, it's
Wait, he does?
yeah. He says get some
his
helicopters
idea
and throw a big
for
old net.
capturing. Yeah, he just wants to throw a net on Quetzalcoatl, and I think that's just tremendous.
You know what? Given our like observations of Jimmy's extreme good fortune, it totally would have worked.
It absolutely would have worked. That's exactly what they should have done.
I mean, honestly, what's more realistic? Like a winged serpent god dying from lots and lots of small arms fire, or being tangled up in a net?
I want to talk
Like-
about the small arms fire because I love that the movie has no sense of like, it's like the dragon has hit points, but the hit points don't scale linearly.
No, it just gets hit enough that
Yeah,
it dies.
it's like the first like 25 shots didn't do any damage, but the second 25 shots do some damage, and then the last shot did a lot of damage. But it's
And
like
like they clearly there's clearly shots where they go back and forth from a like totally fine Q
Oh, yeah.
to a totally bloody Q, like in a
Yes.
non-linear fashion,
Well, that's
and it
the thing.
never builds.
they only had one.
either, like-
They're gonna destroy it one time. Then what you
Right,
get is what you get.
That's true. But like, there's several shots where you clearly see Q bloody, and then suddenly he's fine, and then suddenly he's back.
Well, yeah, because the like clay model was not made in collaboration with the like practical big hand models.
Well, that's very apparent.
Why would it be?
I have a comment I'd like to read that I wrote when this was happening in the movie. It says, "The monster itself would draw comparisons to a Muppet, but Muppets have competent model and puppet work."
You're not wrong.
This is one of those where I feel like the poster for this movie is just
The poster's
spectacular.
really cool.
It's very like
Another thing
Dungeons
that
and
I
Dragons,
truly-
like cover
Yeah,
of a,
it totally is.
it's like a character book art.
Yeah, it's just another layer to the joy that I had knowing that each of you were individually on your own, completely alone, going to watch the movie Q the Winged Serpent, which is unquestionably the worst viewing option.
Oh, I got about 45 minutes in, and I said, this movie really doesn't need another 45 minutes.
No.
And then
Yeah,
about
that
an
was
hour
right about
in,
when
I
you texted
said,
us, I believe.
Oh no! I texted you in an hour.
So he was more desperate by then.
Which doesn't sound like a lot of difference, but it really is
No,
in that
it's
kind of movie.
15 minutes too many.
I want to talk about this like runtime of the movie because I noticed I wrote the same note like 3 or 4 times that the movie it seems like the script itself was paced too slow. Like they wrote a movie that not enough interesting things happen in it. And they thought they could
Sure.
fix it by like slashing it to the bone in editing.
No. They fixed it by just having Jimmy just ramble for 20. No, you're right. They
Yeah.
did slash the script to make room for Jimmy just
Right.
absolutely just bullshitting his way through this scenario.
But the result,
They cut all the good parts.
yeah,
Exactly.
the result is this movie that like never breathes, never feels like it has a second to like.
Oh, the pacing is garbage.
The movie never takes a breath. You never have any sense of like landing anywhere in terms of the plot. But then somehow it also feels slow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
I want to compare real quick, and Lincoln, I don't know if you've seen it yet, so I won't go into any details, but I want to compare it to John Wick 4, which is a fully 3-hour movie, and it feels like it's 90 minutes.
Yes.
And this is like a 90-minute movie that feels like it's a solid 4.5 hours.
Or you could compare it to Die Hard. Die Hard's like a little over
Totally.
2 hours. It feels like a breeze to watch through it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but this movie, like I just was so astounded by like this movie is cut so tight. They slashed this movie down so much. How can it possibly still feel boring and slow?
There's no excuse. I mean, there's nothing. I have nothing.
There is nothing. Yeah, no. There's no excuse.
I want to just comment that I also made my wife watch this movie.
Oh yeah,
And she had exactly 4 thoughts.
I'd like to hear all of them in rapid sequence.
I would love to do that. Number 1, interesting practical effects. Number 2, lots of perverts. Number 3, very loud footsteps. Number 4, racist. And then 4 question marks.
Racist. I'm trying to remember the racist part of that movie.
Okay, so here's what, and this is what I wanted you guys to weigh in on, because I don't think it's I would not be shocked to find out there's some racist parts of this movie. I don't think this is the racist part of the movie. So her thought on what was the racist part was when Jimmy Quinn is about to give up his information about where the monster is, and then the black cop walks in, and then he stops giving information, which I think is a personal beef and not a race thing.
Okay, that's true.
Well,
and the reason we know that that's not the racist part is because Jimmy says the N-word at one point in the movie.
Does Jimmy say?
He does.
When?
He does. I don't remember where. I just remember hearing it.
Yeah, I have.
How is
I
that
have no
not
clue when
the
it happened.
only thing I remember?
But I
from this
remember he
movie?
did say it, and it made me think like everything like slapped me in the face at the same time. Like, what? What's like? Why? Why did you just?
You're like, is he a racist? Does that make him not a racist? I'm so confused.
My brain like had to do like a time machine travel warp to like the 70s of like, did people just say it like?
Ooh. Is this a cultural thing?
Like, is the movie trying to tell me that he's terrible? Like, or is the writer just terrible? Like, well, yes, but like, is the writer racist? Is the question.
Yeah, I think it can be both of those things.
It could be both at the same time.
No, I don't think it is, because isn't that the cop who like initially brings him in?
It is, yeah, and
is like
that was
kind of slapping him around.
my thinking too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a real dick to him the whole time.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'm glad that we settled that.
Cool.
That's
glad we're
good
all on the same
news.
page.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry I made you do this.
Yeah.
We forgive you.
thanks.
I want to maybe we should talk about what we're going to force each other to watch next.
Yeah, so who is next on the line? Does either of you have any movie that you like? You have top of mind ready to go.
I kind of want to make everybody, including myself, rewatch Real Steel.
Oh, see.
All right.
You know?
Thank you for listening to Twinkie Talk, brought to you by the Evening Brothers. I am Brother Lincoln.
I'm Brother John.
I'm Brother Preston.
And we'll see you next week with Real Steel. Lincoln Attacks Your Past. Goodbye.